for you? Like starting from the first contact with Josh and, how your situation unfolded where you were getting wrongfully accused.
It all really started is because I had developed a relationship with a woman in my office who I had known for many years. And that was a mistake on my part. And it was contentious. It was really beautiful for a long time, like many relationships are. And then it started to disentangle. And
shocker.
Yeah, right. I mean, and it was all my fault, Joe. I mean, I'm really contrite about the situation because I'm very aware of my mistakes. And I've made amends with her. And thankfully she has accepted my apologies because I put her in a position where she should have never been in as being an employee of mine. But I'd known her for 19 years. I'd never really been at the head of such a big office. I mean, it's about 100 people. So for me, it was a really big thing. And there's a romance that goes with kind of winning an election and coming in and trying to make a difference.
JD opens up about his controversial relationship that ignited significant trouble in his professional life. He candidly accepts responsibility, describing a romance that started beautifully but eventually unraveled into chaos. His honesty about mistakes and accountability makes this segment especially gripping, showing a genuine side rarely shared publicly.
I think it swept us up, and we really genuinely cared about each other. But then it started to kind of fail, and it was my fault, and I brought a lot of toxicity to the relationship and I don't like the word toxic. I don't know why I don't. But
it's compromised today.
Yeah, right? It is.
It
is. But that's exactly probably what it was. And so I'm lucky that. But so, anyways, there was arguments that were caught, on camera with her and I, that were released to the public. And it showed us, me arguing with her and raising my voice. And so it was an extremely embarrassing time in my life. But so this was all happening amidst this. And so it all really did start happening when I exonerated those Nancy Smith and Joseph Allen in 2022. My life changed because I knew there would be consequences to actions like that because it creates financial problems. People are suing people in federal courts. So it causes problems even in the sense that I was very close with police. I was a county prosecutor. I'm a very pro-police man. And so it was difficult, the strain that it put on some of the police departments, even though it was an old case, I'm still friends with a lot of these detectives. And to sort of make decisions like that where you have to kind of disagree, it can be difficult. It could strain relationships.
JD dives deeper into the emotional fallout and public humiliation when private arguments surfaced online. He describes how personal issues intersected with his professional decisions, particularly highlighting his brave decision to exonerate two wrongfully accused individuals. This turning point adds depth to JD's character, revealing his integrity amidst professional turmoil.
I really didn't realize the extent of how much it would do it. So when I exonerated Nancy Smith and Joseph Allen, which is one of the worst cases I've ever seen, I thought that it was the worst case I'd ever seen. And then I got Josh's case. And after I was going through all that hardship, basically on October 1st of 2024, I was charged with 3 felonies: tampering with records, intimidation, and bribery. It was shocking to me because I couldn't figure out what the conduct was that they were referring to. So what in essence it was is because of that fallout from the videos that were released, and she didn't have a part in the releasing the videos, and so she had called us in the summertime, even though we weren't really talking a bunch, and she had kind of expressed her sorrow that those videos had gotten out, and that she didn't intend for them to, and that she kind of wanted some help with the media about how can we kind of help a little bit with the PR. And my partner and my chief of staff, Jim Burge, who's a legend unto himself, he's the best writer I've ever seen. So he wrote a statement. And it was supposed to be prepared for her lawyers if they wanted to review it and see if they agreed with it or change it or anything like that. So, and to prove that that's what occurred was I have text messages from her on the day that Jim wrote the statement that says, I trust Jim and his magic pen because she knew how good of a writer he was. And then the next day, when I'm supposed to be intimidating him, according to the state, when I'm supposed to be intimidating her. According to the state, I received a text message apologizing for this situation that we're in because we both were just really. It was dramatic to have your personal life right in even a small town like that. It was dramatic. So that's really what happened. But what they alleged that we had created this false narrative.
The intensity peaks as JD describes being shockingly charged with felonies amidst personal drama. He passionately asserts his innocence, backing it up with detailed evidence. JD vividly captures the stress this legal battle inflicted on his family, providing a raw look into the devastating personal impact of public scandal and false allegations.
False document and then intimidated her into adopting it. That was the allegation, which is completely false. And we had all the evidence to prove it. So I was fairly confident in my case because I'm a lawyer. I was a defense attorney for 15 years before I took office. So I'm fairly knowledgeable about what constitutes a good case or not. And I had a great case. But the stress that it put on my family and my mother and my father, just awful. You know, I have nieces and nephews. I'm a bachelor, but I've got nieces and nephews with my last name, and that really bothered me. And so while I'm battling with this, the interesting thing, I'm charged on October 1st. On October 4th, and they had, once we broke up in 23, they had kind of been courting her because they knew that she was my weakness, that the contentious relationship, and I think they were hoping that they would turn her on me. And so they did as much as to exploit and try to utilize our relationship against me. In fact, the lead detective that was investigating us was attempting to sleep with her at the same time. Attempting to sleep with her. I have text messages asking for nude photographs, asking to go over her house. This is while he's investigating me, Joe. He's trying to sleep with my girlfriend. Saying stuff like, you should get back at him. You should get back at him.
How dumb is this guy to make this in text messages?
I couldn't believe it when she showed.
You just want to think the people that are evil that are.
This segment reveals shocking misconduct by the detective investigating JD, including unethical personal advances toward JD's ex-girlfriend. JD exposes text message evidence that amplifies the injustice of his situation. His disbelief and outrage add a gripping layer of drama, underscoring the corruption and betrayal he faced.
They're manipulating people and falsely trying people. They're like evil geniuses.
Joe, it was extraordinary. That's why at first I didn't believe it. I was like, why would he write it? Why would he do that?
That's so crazy.
And then she shared those messages with me. She showed me them. I didn't get to actually physically, and then later I acknowledged it. But so what it all occurred was in 2020. I won an election. I went against my own party, and I ran in a primary, and I ended up winning. And then my relationship with the sheriff, who actually ended up investigating me for this case that I'm referring to, we had pretty good relationship there for the first couple months when I got elected. I had asked for a couple of my deputies to be or a couple of my investigators to be deputized, which is a pretty standard procedure. He agreed. And then he hired the individual that I had defeated in the election, and the whole attitude changed. Everything changed. It was now very contentious. He had withdrawn his desire to deputize my investigators. The relationship turned very sour very fast when he hired my predecessor, which is unusual to have a lawyer working in the sheriff's department anyways, because statutorily I'm the lawyer for the sheriff's department. So it's an unusual move to even hire a lawyer in a sheriff's department. You could probably get 2 deputies for that kind of money. So it was unusual in this.
JD reflects on the political dynamics that complicated his relationship with local authorities, especially after winning an election against his party's wishes. This segment reveals the bitter rivalry and political retaliation behind the scenes. His detailed recounting highlights the complex web of politics and justice, wrapping up his narrative on a suspenseful note.